are we ready? Let's see, board members, we have
quorum, and Joseph has to miss today. So
and how about Chris? I don't see Chris.
I'm going to text him right now because he said he would be here. And then I could text Patty.
Yeah, Patty, I know. Yeah.
I
Thank
just,
you. Thank you.
it's good to see everybody, and I just wanted to say I might have to go off camera. I've been having connectivity issues, but it's
No worries at all.
Okay.
Can you hear me? I'm having connectivity issues,
Yes.
so I just turned my camera
Yes.
off.
We
You
can hear
sound
you.
great. You sound loud and clear.
Yep, you
Great.
do.
Yeah. I am here, even if my camera's off. I apologize. Just having some internet issues.
Yep. So Emily, you just let me know when you want me to let people in, okay?
Sure. Chris said 1 minute. I haven't heard back from Patty yet, but I think we could start letting people in regardless.
Okay. I'll admit all there. Yeah. There's the only person I don't know is Daniel Wirt. I don't know Daniel Wirt. But everyone else. Alrighty, there are no other people in the waiting room right now.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Gonna give it like 1 more minute, and then we can just jump right in. I also dropped the board packet in the chat if anyone wants to follow along with our agenda today. Okay, I think we could just call this meeting to order. So, Sarah, I know you have audio issues. I don't mind taking attendance if that's easier, or connectivity issues, rather.
If you wouldn't mind, Emily, I am having some issues with my
All good.
connectivity.
Yeah, got you covered. Okay. Roll call. I am here. Chris Vaccaro.
Here.
Sarah Catania, I know you're here. Nicole DeCriscio. Here. Beatrice Foreman.
Here.
Patricia Gallagher Newberry.
Here.
Joseph Hernandez is absent today. Kari Johnson.
Here.
And Wesley Wright.
Here.
Okay. President's report. That's me. I'm going to keep it extremely short and sweet. I think the whole point of having regular meetings and an email listserv and everything else is the fact that we are constantly communicating with y'all, and I want to keep it that way. So in turn, my updates are short. We've done a lot of advocacy within the last quarter. If you're following us on our social channels and our website on the news tab, you will see that. Really, really proud of the work that we've been doing there and hope to keep that momentum up. I can also tell you that last week, 6 out of our 9 board members, 2/3, were in attendance at the College of Media Association New York conference, and they all spoke or presented at one point or another, which I think might be a record. And I'm really thrilled to see that we are continuing those partnerships, especially looking forward and knowing that in October, Media Fest will be partnered with the College Media Association as well as the Associated Collegiate Press. So I think that was a really wonderful look for us. And there were some really fantastic sessions given by our board members as well as regional coordinators and chapter leaders. So SPJ looked really good. And Caroline informed me that we even pulled in some new members from that appearance, which is always exciting and happy to hear. Other things I want to tell you about, there will be an executive session today, and you'll see that on the agenda. The only thing we are talking about during executive session is selecting the Fellows of the Society. That is an understandably quiet process because we don't want the potential fellows to know if they have won. So that is why that is an executive session. I also believe that is the last thing on the agenda. So if you leave before executive session, just know that all you will miss if you don't come back is us adjourning. So just getting that out of the way now. I think that's all I have for you. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Caroline Hendry.
Well, thank you so much, Emily. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone can hear me okay, coming through. Yeah. Okay, well, great. So I am thrilled to share the results of a priority setting process that we conducted, kind of an accelerated process over the past few months since the fall. We were looking to make some strategic decisions, but not a whole new strategic plan. We instead wanted to work within the framework of the strategic plan that was developed about 5 years ago or so that identified 4 main pillars, the core 4 of SPJ. And that's champions for journalists, fighters for the First Amendment, stewards of ethical journalism, and producers of journalism's future. So working within that framework, we decided to, that framework was always designed to not really be about actionable priorities, but kind of big picture. And what we needed to do is look within our plan and our framework and say, what are our actionable priorities? What do we do tomorrow? What do we do next week? What do we do next year? It's just designed to look at what our kind of programming priorities are over the next 2 to 3 years. That was the goal. I'm very happy. And so what I want to do is just share a few slides that will help kind of walk through this. So let's see if you guys can see this. Everybody see it? Okay, great. Well, so we organized this around some core questions, looking at where our place is in the journalism ecosystem. That was really important. What does the landscape look like? What's the unique role for SPJ within that landscape? And then what are, some of the funders who could help us get there to, kind of fill the role that we need to fill? And then what are our actionable strategic priorities? To help us do that, we assembled a core team and, some board members from both the society board and the foundation board played really important roles on that. We also had a regional coordinator. We had a chapter member. We had a student. We had a number of staff members. So they, were really key in helping us digest the information out there and, make sense of it all. These are a list of the core team members. You'll recognize a lot of these names, I'm sure. And what we found, again, working with consultants, that looking at the landscape, that was kind of key to what we were doing, that the landscape underscored that SPJ really has its work cut out for us. That's not a surprise to any of us. The field is very crowded, it's fragmented, and many funders focus on the kind of broad-based journalism organization that SPJ is and what our mission is. And that's why it's so important to kind of clarify and communicate what our niche is and what our priorities are, right? And one of the things that emerged is that SPJ is unique because of its broad base of local working journalists. So during the process, we focused on, kind of 3 concepts came to the fore, big ideas for, again, based on our core pillars. leaning into our legacy of being leaders in ethics, focusing more on the fighters for the First Amendment role as a voice for working journalists and a representative of, for press freedom and rights, or more of a national convener of others in the journalism landscape. So we ran those ideas by a group of leaders in the field. Both boards had multiple, both the society and the foundation board had multiple opportunities to provide feedback and input. We talked with working journalists out there, in-depth interviews with other journalism support organization leaders and funders and experts in the field. So through that process, we kind of boiled down all the research and the interviews and really moved from 3 concepts to 1. What emerged is like a focus on SPJ supporting working journalists through its chapters, its regions, its communities, leveraging our base of local journalists and really sharpening our focus on advocacy, drawing on our leadership and ethics to really ground our public positions. So making sure that ethics do not become invisible, but become actually the grounding of our positions and our ability to speak with integrity and authenticity. And our partnerships with other organizations, building on those is very, very important. So the next slide is pretty text heavy. So I'm going to give you all a minute to look it over. And I'll say that what pulls it together is this idea of we help journalists, we empower journalists to stick together and stick up for themselves. I'll let people just look over this kind of core value proposition. So, okay. So diving in a little more deeply here, they're core elements to the role that we're looking at, and we're standing up for working journalists is really important. Really listening to journalists, I think that's another really key element here to authentically represent people. We really want to try that. We want to use our networking abilities as a real asset, the chapters, the regions, the national level, with our communities, with our chapters. As I said, we want to ground our advocacy in ethics, and we really want to partner with other organizations. And we're already doing that, but we want to build on that and lean into it even more. So this is an example that just comes from our work last week. It's an example of how we can put ethics at the core of our advocacy efforts. We put out a statement last Wednesday after it was announced that the White House press team was basically taking over the decisions about who serves in the press pool. This was an outgrowth of the legal fight, which now become a legal fight between the White House and the Associated Press. We've had a number of statements with different organizations on it. This is an example of a statement we put out, and as you'll see at the end of this little excerpt of it, how we draw attention to our code of ethics, and we hopefully drive people to go and look at the code of ethics if they don't know about it, and that just underscores our our kind of standing to be able to make statements like this, that we have this legacy. And it's just a quick example, putting some flesh on the bones of what we're talking about when we say grounding our public positions in our ethics work. So looking ahead, these are, our priorities, what we feel like we need to do. We really need to listen. We need to do research on what the needs and interests are of working journalists to really inform our advocacy. We need to design some signature programs around this focus area. We need to produce content. We really do want to empower journalists to stand up for themselves at multiple levels, advocate for themselves in the field, in the public square, but also at the organization level and even in the individual level. We think key to that is creating community building opportunities, right? Leaning into our ability to convene and network and help people across the country who may be dealing with similar challenges, learn from one another and network together, draw strength and strategies from one another. So with that, I'll just say that this really depends on everyone, all the stakeholders who are involved in SPJ to work. There's a lot more to come here that we really want to partner with all of you to make this a reality.
Thank you so much for that, Caroline. It's, I think, a really exciting time because we're not necessarily changing the wheel, but we are or reinventing it, but we're just looking to hone in and laser focus on things that we do well and figuring out how to make sure that messaging is clear. So exciting stuff and a lot more to come, as Caroline said. With that, I will toss it over to Sarah Catania for a Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Emily. Please let me know if I start, if my screen starts freezing, I'll turn it off. Can you hear me? Yeah, good, okay. Well, first, I just want to say thank you, Emily, for your concise and informative report, and also for the really helpful stream of updates. I feel very well informed and updated. So by the time we get to this meeting, I don't feel like there are any surprises. I feel very well informed. So thank you for that. Caroline, I am very excited about where we're at with our strategic plan. I think what you said in such concise form, we empower journalists to stick together and stick up for themselves. I think that is a really nice kind of distillation of what we're trying to do here. Obviously, it's more nuanced than that, but sticking together is something that journalists aren't always very good at. And so I think the more we can do to help journalists understand that at this time, how important that is and support that moving forward is very meaningful. So for the Treasurer's update, I will share with you that the Finance Committee had its third meeting a couple of weeks ago on February 17th. We affirmed our purpose and set our goals for 2025. Our purpose is to provide timely, useful oversight of SPJ's financials in line with SPJ 23 Resolution 9. Our goals for the year are to improve clarity and transparency of financial reports for Finance Committee. The first action on that is to reorganize the line items and create more user-friendly executive summaries in the finance reports. Our second goal is to provide regular updates to membership regarding SPJ finances. So we've already taken action on our first goal. And on the second goal, we are moving forward with that. I have met with Foundation Treasurer Todd Gilman and Caroline Hendry and the accountant for the foundation. We will be continuing to meet with that accountant and also with Courtney, our accountant at the Society, to work on ways to clarify those executive summaries so that they are easily accessible by the Finance Committee, and also to determine how we can communicate regularly updates to the full SPJ community. And that will be coming very soon. Caroline provided a fundraising update, and I will hand it over to you in a minute, Caroline, to share that with the full board. And I think you may have some additional fundraising updates for the full board. And just in general, this committee has now met 3 times. We met twice in Q4 of 2024, once in Q1 of 2025. We have 2 more meetings scheduled this year. Prior to the full board meetings, we intentionally set those meetings to occur in advance of the full board meeting so that we could review finances. We did review finances at the board meeting a couple of weeks ago. It's very early. We only had through January of 2025 to review. So there isn't much to report other than that things are on track and no surprises based on what was predicted and anticipated when we met in 2024. At our next Finance Committee meeting, which will be happening in April, we will, I'm sure, have more to look at and more to report back to you at the next full board meeting regarding the particulars. I'm going to hand it back to you, Caroline, for the fundraising update, and if there's anything else you want to add about the finances.
Sure. Well, again, I would echo what you said, Sarah, that it is early in the fiscal year. We're on a calendar year. So as far as the society goes, the big areas of revenue, the biggest area of revenue right now is the SPJ Foundation and the additional funding that comes in from the foundation under the Memorandum of Understanding with the society. We're incredibly grateful, of course, to the foundation. We're very lucky that we are able to get that assistance. We are seeking, of course, external funding as well. Other important areas of funding for the society are membership revenue and awards revenue. The awards season is just wrapping up. There's one more major award, but it isn't a big revenue generator. So the main, at the national level, the main awards programs have wrapped up, not judging, and there's still a lot of work that's going on. And I don't have a full accounting of what the revenue picture is yet, so that'll come at the next meeting. But that's an important source of revenue, as you guys know. It's no secret that in recent years, those sources of revenue to the society side have been on the decline. So related to the membership revenue, we've had a lot of struggles with the membership management system. Fortunately, we hope that it'll be a lot better in about a month. In early April, we're looking to debut the new member management system that's been custom built for us. And so that's one step in trying to stem the erosion in membership revenue that we have seen for years and years. So that's important to be aware of. In terms of external funding, conversations are happening on multiple fronts with grant funders, with others who might, we're trying to engage to support the Media Fest event. One related, so there's meetings coming up. We've been invited to just submit a proposal just this week. We're really grateful for an excellent national foundation. We don't know what will happen with that. Another major funder has emerged, and I'm talking to them tomorrow. So these conversations are happening. The wheels grind pretty slowly when it comes in general to institutional funders. You'll put in a proposal, like, for example, what happened just now, we were invited to put a concept in last June, and they just surfaced and said, hey, we want a full proposal. Great. But that kind of thing happens. We were invited to submit another proposal from a different funder in October, didn't hear anything for months, and then they just surfaced and said, hey, so I'm going to meet tomorrow. So again, it grinds slowly, but we're very grateful that people are interested. And I do think that the priorities process, where we're better able to clarify and communicate our role in the national journalism ecosystem, will help with fundraising.
Great. Thank you both so much. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Caroline. With that, we come to our public comment portion. If anyone would like to speak, they'll raise their hand. They'll have 2 minutes. They will unmute themselves, and then we could go from there. So does anyone have public comment to contribute? Y'all have been keeping it so easy on me, and I am grateful. So going once, going. Yes, hi, Hazel. Take your time, go ahead.
Okay, I got it. I just wanted to say that I am no longer a member of the Freelance Community Board, but I did peek in on their meeting last night. I was so impressed with the people who are on the board this year, and there were visitors at the meeting too. And I just can't say enough about how good I feel now about the way the freelance community is going. So that's all I want to say. By the way, I appreciated, Caroline, seeing that the communities are mentioned in your goal slides. Thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think committees and communities are and local chapters really are the backbone of our organization. They're what make us different from other organizations in the journalism field. And if we don't have those, I don't know what we have, truly. So I'm really happy to hear that it went well and that you were so heartened to visit it. And I will remind everyone that those meetings, as are these meetings, open to all. So bring your friends, come join, come hang out. And if I don't have any other public comments, I will just say that we continue to be, I'm an open book. So if you need to reach me, if you want to talk about something offline, please email me. And let's chat. But I think that we'll just continue to have this open dialogue. And as part of that open dialogue segue, I see in the chat that Patty is asking about looking ahead on the planning priority process. What are next steps? And that's something that Caroline and I were discussing with our regional coordinators at the meeting right before this meeting. And the short answer is that there is not a perfect answer to that. It is a rolling process, and it's going to continue to sort of progress and evolve. But Caroline, do you want to kind of take that and talk about what comes after?
Right. Well, I'm hoping, we just had our meeting with the regional coordinators, and we did a run through, kind of a heads up for them ahead of this run through we just did now. And there are a number of ideas on the table for how to solicit the input and feedback from chapter leaders. So there's a number of ideas on how to do that, but I think that's another next step. And hopefully we have some chapter leaders who are going to be made more aware via this meeting, but also we want to, develop that. I also think it's very important that we do kind of formal listening processes, including via surveys. So I think that's another important step in, as you'll recall from the priorities, we value the idea of authentic representation. And so I think listening is a part of that. And that can be done informally, but it can also be done through some more formal processes to encourage more participation, right?
Right. And something we touched on, but I'll just reiterate, is that we are working on moving over to a new and improved database. And I think when that is more streamlined, it'll mean that things like survey distribution will also be more streamlined and easier to keep up with. So a lot more to come. Celia, I see your hand up. Hi.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be a Grinch, but when the Finance Committee reports, I really expected some numbers to come out. I realize that these are preliminary, but my treasurer has to report every month about what's in the bank, what isn't in the bank, what we owe, what we spent. And I think it would be helpful to have a few numbers on the table. Thanks very much.
Thank you for your comment. I'll defer to Sarah, but I'll just add that the numbers are available and that we usually put them in our packet. I think Sarah just didn't want to get in the weeds for this broad membership meeting, but Sarah, please.
Yeah, and the packet was not at least available to me via chat.
Okay, I'll defer to Sarah next. Thank you. Sarah.
Yeah, I wanted to echo what Emily said. The financials are available, and I'm sorry that you didn't have access to the packet. The reason I didn't get into the numbers on this call is that there was nothing irregular or particularly notable. However, I will take your comment under advisement and make sure that there are some specific details reported out at this meeting for our next board meeting. Thank you, Celia. I appreciate the feedback.
And just for overall everyone listening, Caroline and Jennifer and Sarah, can we make sure that those numbers get added to the packet if they weren't already, just so everyone has access to the same stuff? I'm going to take the silence as a nod of approval that we're working on it. Yeah. Okay, we're working on it. Thank you for bringing that up, Celia, because I agree that should be, even if we don't delve into the depths of it at the meeting, there should still be a tangible piece of paper for everyone to review, and there usually is. So if something fell through the cracks, I apologize, but we will fix that. So thank you. Okay, any other public comments? Okay. Thank you so much for your time. The next quarterly meeting is on the calendar already. I think it's, Nicole, you might have had it handier than me. Was that June 5th? Am I wrong?
I believe that's correct.
I think it's June 5th at 3 p.m., but don't quote me and please check our calendar, but it will be there along with the rest of our meetings for the year. And with that, I am going to there's a vote to move into executive session, correct? I'm getting the nod from Bob Becker. Thank you so much. I look to your
one more
when I
question in
need.
the chat. We have one more question in the chat from Patty.
Oh, yes, thank you. Updates on Media Fest. Revving and rolling, still happening in October. I don't have a lot of top line updates for you right at this moment, but I'm hoping that at our next meeting, we'll have Michael Koretsky and the committee kind of speak to more top line updates. But yeah.
I'll just say that the next meeting is June 4th.
Thank you, June 4th. Thank you, Caroline. Appreciate it. But yes, more updates to come, but it is in the process because our partners are the College Media Association and they just had their conference as well as ACP. They've both been on a lot of meetings and doing a lot of logistical things for their conference #1 of the year. So now that that is out of the way, it is continuing. And yes, Jennifer, I touched on this at the beginning, but I'm happy to reiterate. We're moving to executive session to discuss Fellows of the Society because we are naming award winners. That's why it is being done in private, because we do not want the award winners or nominees to know who they are. So that's all it is. And there will be nothing else on the agenda afterward. So we will adjourn directly after and you will not have missed anything. Okay, with that, can I, per Bob Becker's advice, take a vote to move to executive session, please? Do I have a motion?
I'll move that we go to executive session.
Thank you, Nicole. Do I have a second? Seconded by Sarah Catania. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Beautiful. We will move to executive session. Thank you so much to everyone else for being here.
Caroline and Emily, do you want me to stick around or shall I leave? You should have the spreadsheet that has the totals on the final tab. It's the same one that everybody filled out.
I'm fine either way, whatever Caroline thinks is best.
Jennifer, you can leave if you want. That's no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your help.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Caroline, you have the host controls, right? So if I drop a few things in the chat, can we delete them afterward?
I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, actually, we'll be adjourning anyway. So I guess it's not that big of a deal.
So I guess, do you want to stop recording or do you want to record this and then just cut this all out of the?
Let's stop recording just to keep it safe.
Okay. All right.